Hello and welcome to my podcast, Conversations with Cornelius, where I, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, discuss, chat and hypothesize on all things from fatherhood, marriage, comedy and everything else in between. From time to time, there will be special guests, but mostly it's going to be me and some regular contributors, including my main squeeze, Noelle Patricia O'Sullivan, aka the wife. So sit back, relax and enjoy Conversations with Cornelius. So I just want to say thanks for being here. I'm going to bring our guest, this week's guest, onto the staaage. This man here, right, for those of you who don't know, is contacted me during the pandemic, apologizing to me for heckling me at a gig 3 or 4 years prior to the whole pandemic. I know I do 4 or 5 gigs a week, 50 weeks a year. I couldn't remember it. And you were like, I'm very sorry. And I was like, to the point I was like, I think this guy is actually might be a bit mental here, like, do you know what I mean? And then I got to know you, and you're a very sane individual. And you started doing comedy after the pandemic, and then you got a residency. You started doing open mics. Then he got a residency in the club here, and then he started doing a residency down in Kerry as well, and he's gone from strength to strength. And to me, you're a man who went after something that you thought was long gone, and I thought that was very admirable. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage 47-year-old, maybe 48-year-old, gentle man, Harry Hussey.
Cheers, Colin. Cheers.
Yeah. How's things?
Not so bad at all. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I feel like I've been talking non-fucking stop for the last, I don't know, how long are we on, Dave? It feels like 25 minutes. 12 minutes, not too bad.
Are you going to go back early tonight now to celebrate with Noelle as well now for them?
No, we went for breakfast this morning.
But you could have a cup of tea tonight before she goes to bed.
She'll definitely be asleep. She'll definitely be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
We went, I don't know if you've ever been to McDonald's, guys. Have you ever been to McDonald's? Yeah. We went for one of the McDonald's breakfasts this morning, and it was fucking gorgeous. Does anyone here like McDonald's breakfasts? Just myself. Yes, they're unbelievable. They're way better than what they have on during the day. I'm a vegetarian. I just get the Egg McMuffin meal with an extra hash brown and an Americano. And it was like myself and Noelle just sat beside each other inside McDonald's 9 years. We got married in Italy 9 years ago in Amalfi. And this morning we were in Mallow in a fucking McDonald's.
Big contrast.
Yeah, so it's...
Apologies to everybody in Mallow. This has its nice points as well.
It doesn't. It has no nice points.
The road out of it.
The road out of it is very good, yeah. Very, very good. So on this podcast, guys, for those of you who don't know, I play a game every week with my guests. It's called Trending Topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. I'm Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, guys, right? And that's my song. And... usually when I do it live, I ask the audience to give me a version. So I'll just sing it again just because I know you probably like, oh, right, whatever. So it's Trending Topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. So off you go.
Trending Topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan.
I swear to God, I did not expect you to sing at all. I was doing it as a joke. I was like, off you go. And you went for it. So yeah, Harry, maybe let's give him a round of applause. Yeah. Fair play to you. Unbelievable.
It's a good job.
So I pick 3 things that are trending around the world, 3 random things, and what it does is it opens up kind of a little bit of our brains to different things. Harry doesn't know what they are, and we just kind of discuss maybe for 2 minutes, maybe for 10 minutes, well, 2 minutes, and off we go. So the first one today, Harry, that I saw trending today is the Book of Kells.
I have a vague idea what it's down to, but I don't know what it's about. But there's actually some sort of protest or strike or something where there's people standing in front of where the Book of Kells is and not allowing people in.
Yeah, students are protesting in Dublin, in Trinity, because of their why they're protesting. They're hitting the pocket of the guys that are renting all the... they're trying to keep the rents down for their apartments and stuff like that. And they're trying to use this as a protest. And so that's why it's trending. Have you ever seen the Book of Kells?
No, not in the flesh, so to speak. No, I've only seen it... Obviously, I've seen photographs of it, and it's a great work of art and all.
Yeah.
But,
it was found in a bog, I think.
It was, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, found in a bog.
What I find in a bog is toilet paper.
Oh, yay, but on bumps. Hashtag the Troubles.
The Troubles, yes, we better not talk about that. We have a Northern Irish man in the audience.
We didn't know you were going to be here.
Yes,
This is
now
what's trending.
that said, though, you're so young that the Troubles were over before you were born, so it must seem like history to you. It must be really odd.
It's
It's not gone away, I know, yeah. But there's always undercurrents bubbling over, but I'm sure, like, but the Troubles, yeah, that might be related to the fact that all the stuff that Micheál Martin was saying about the kids liking the Wolf Tones at the
maybe
festivals and that they don't know their history.
I think that's bollocks. I think when the politicians were giving out about the young people, like it's a part of our culture. We should be able to sing our songs, or it's like saying you can't sing, what's that song that the girls were singing inside in the dressing room?
But that's the Celtic Symphony. That's they're always
like I mean that's it's I'm not saying that every single song in history is politically correct, but like you can't take something that's culturally belongs to a people, and they're also celebrating as well at that stage. I mean we're in a peaceful time now. Thanks be to God,
I know.
you know, and that you're singing about your past. It's a way of expressing it through art, you know. That's my opinion on it anyway. But
I mean, I just don't like the song because I don't like the song.
You don't like the song?
I don't like the song. No, I'm not into that kind of music really.
Yeah,
nothing to do with the sentiment behind it. Just,
I wouldn't be listening to that that type of music, but I get infected by it when I'm near it. Yeah.
Well, it depends, you know, if Killavullen or some team like that won some cup in hurling and they started singing all that, I'm sure you get carried away into it.
Yeah. Well, Ballyclaw, not Killavullen.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Hashtag Kim Jong-un. This is the last one now. This is Kim Jong-un. The Book of Kells, Troubles, and Kim Jong-un, lads. You know, this is what you've come for, you know.
I know. It's a great world we live in.
Tell me about Kim Jong-un's sex life for the ladies here.
It's highly classified.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that he tells everybody because it's all one party state and the news is heavily vetted before it gets out. So I'm sure now he's like the equivalent. You know, when we all grew up, there was one kid in school with us who was bragging like as if they'd gotten laid and everything already, like they were probably virgins and everything, like, but it's always one person, and
no I wasn't,
and all this sort of stuff, like. Yeah, but I'd say Kim Jong-un is like that over there, that he just tells the whole nation he's the sexiest man there, he's the most virile, he's the best endowed and all this kind of stuff, and they believe him.
And if they don't, you're killed.
Yeah.
That's the way
or sent away somewhere quietly.
He he met with Putin today.
Did he?
Yeah. And they're like, we're fucked, like, or like, honestly, like, I mean, this, like, he's starting to ally up now with the likes of China and North Korea, all these guys with all these big, massive, like arsenals of weapons, like, and what I found very interesting, I was watching an article about it. They were going into a room to do an interview with the press, and Putin was talking to a dignitary at the door. Kim Jong-un was just about to go through the door, but he stopped and waited. And then your man, Putin, finished his conversation with your man, and they entered together. And they were saying, had he entered beforehand, that Putin would have seen that as an act of aggression. Like, that is a microaggression, lads. You know what I mean?
But I think as well what that is, it's kind of very one-sided. It's kind of like, that would add prestige to Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
To be seen there with Putin, to be seen as a player, right? In Putin's eyes, it's probably like, you know the way as well you get this thing. Him, it's like if your younger brother tags along when he's still only a toddler or something, we'll let him tag along. That's what it is, like it's just
it's
a fly around the horse in the summer or something, minor annoyance.
It totally reminds me of World War II. The whole thing reminds me of World War II when Hitler was going around picking up all these kind of quasi-dictators like Mussolini and stuff like that, you know, and trying to get them onto my team. Yeah. They're onto my team. You know, that's what's going on.
The funny thing is it never happened as much then, like Franco didn't ally with him as much as Mussolini.
No, not as much as Mussolini, no. But anyway, I think that's going to conclude trending topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. Okay, guys, not as good as the first time, but look, I caught you on the hop that time, all right? So sorry. Okay, I've got 8 thought experiments, 8 conversation suggestions, 8 questions. I don't know what they are, all right? But I suppose, Harry, what I want you, first thing, I just want you to describe yourself to, like, believe it or not, people listen to this podcast, guys, all across the world, right?
Oh, yeah, and your Uncle Mike.
My Uncle Mike in Texas, my Auntie Breda in China, and Mary in North Korea.
And somebody up in the space station as well.
And there's a couple of the cosmonauts.
Yeah.
But people people don't know you. You're new to the scene.
Of course.
So describe yourself. Tell me what you're like.
Well,
My phone is ringing now.
Well, somebody who got into comedy quite late in life, but was always interested in it. How would I describe myself? Like I'm not exceptionally good at most things, but I have quite a few interests. What I would just say basically is I try to be a nice person. I'm not saying I'm the best person in the world. I try to be.
Yeah.
I fail, but I pick myself up and try again.
How do you try to be a nice person?
I just try to be fair with people, really. I mean,
Okay.
I won't, I will defend myself if somebody comes for me, shall we say. But other than that, I'm willing to live and let live. And if somebody appears to be a nice person, that's all I care about. I don't care what part of the world somebody's from, what religion, what race, anything. Just once they're a decent person.
Yeah.
And if they're the opposite, then if they're rather a nasty person, well, I try not to have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
If I can't,
Have
if
you
I can avoid it.
Have you encountered nasty people?
Well, everybody's encountered nasty people,
Yeah.
Con.
No,
Live
just the
long
way you
enough.
were saying it there. I was like,
No.
Is there someone at you? Do you want me to have a chat?
No, but I'm talking about some of these world leaders that we've been on.
Oh, yeah.
Thing,
Okay.
and some of these people who just seem to be predominant in social media
Yeah.
and lead the discourse there,
Yeah. So you kind of stay clear of the Putins of this
I
world.
steer clear of lots of that kind of stuff. I only get involved in stuff if I feel I have an ethical duty to say something.
Right.
Other than that, I just steer clear of all these shit-stirring things that are going on.
Tell me, so when we first kind of started talking to each other, right, it was initially just online. It sounds like we were grooming each other now, or you were grooming. When you first started grooming me, right?
You're not that much younger than me, Con.
I'm still younger than you, though.
Yeah,
you know,
but not so much to be sinister on my part.
When you started gigging here, I used to make the joke before I'd bring you on stage that the only reason I hired you in the club was that you were older than me, and it made me a little bit younger, made me feel a little bit younger because I was always the oldest.
Of course.
But you're 48, I'm 46, so there isn't a whole pile of a difference between us in age.
We both actually remember the real 1980s, not Stranger Things.
Exactly.
Revived 80s,
Yeah, I remember E.T.
E.T., of course,
Tell me about your childhood. Where are you from?
Well,
where did you grow up?
Okay.
What kind of a house did you live in?
Right. I am from Cork City. I grew up in Gurnabraher in the city, which obviously, if anybody doesn't know me and only knows about stereotypes of the city, they might say, how is he from Gron? I mean, I can speak like that now, if I want to as well, it's my second language, you know what I mean? But
You're a Nari,
I am an Nari, but I'm fluent in speaking that, but it's not and it's not that I've airs and graces, I just developed speaking this way, I was just strange.
Yeah.
My mother...
You still have a very distinct Cork accent, though, nonetheless.
Cork accent, I know, but I mean, I don't, you wouldn't necessarily know that I grew up in a council house in the north side. Not that there's anything wrong with that, there's a lot of lovely people did, and a lot of lovely people living up there. But, my mother's from the country, though. She's a country woman. She's from a place called Bartlemy.
I know it, in East Cork.
Yeah, that's
down by
where she's from.
Dungorney.
So that would have influenced, I have a little bit of culture in myself, shall we say. That might tie into some other things, as we'll get to later, maybe. I do like being out and about in the countryside when I get a chance.
Your childhood, you lived in a council house in Gurnabraher.
Yes.
What was national school like?
I went to Blarney Street CBS. It was all right. I remember when I went there first.
Was it tough? When you said to me there, now you grew up in the north side, right? The general conception that most people have is just fucking what I have and what my friends would have had growing up is Jesus, that's rough, fighting all the time, loads of fucking crime going around, big thing that we always
That was
had.
only the teachers.
That was only the teachers. Do you know what was it like? Fucking
hot wearing cars
and stuff like that. Is that a load of shite in general, or was that going on?
I did joke with people once when I was doing an open mic, not here, no, some other club. There was people from Britain, and they had the car parked outside, and I said something I said, look, at least if your car isn't there when you go out, I'd advise you, go to Nash's Boreen within the hour, and you might get there before they burn it out. Yeah. So that does happen at times.
Joyriding.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, it's only a minority, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the majority of people, they wouldn't have the eclectic interests I have. There'd be a lot of people, again, I know it's one of the good stereotypes as well, there'd be a lot of people connected with sport up around where I am, giants of Cork sport, Irish sport, all that kind of stuff. And you'd have had people, there's been some great comedians come out in the north side, like Chris Kent.
I think the best comedians in Cork, Chris McShane as well.
Chris McShane's brilliant,
and Chris Kent is amazing, Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. Well, and then North Cork,
Yes.
the very best.
Well, there's a big lot of you. There's Mike Morgan and yourself and a few more as well.
Yeah, we're taking over. We'll take over the Avondhu section.
Oh, yeah.
So you were in school in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like you
Technically, I started primary in 1979, but it was only for a couple of months.
What the fuck? How old were you in 1979? 4. Yeah, you were like me. There was no play school or anything like that. My kids are going to.
There was. I went to Before 5 nursery school. That was in the news recently. I think that it closed down. But I went to Before 5 nursery school in Churchfield.
Jeez, you were posh enough now.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah,
not at all. We had an outdoor toilet until I was about 5.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was that like? Cold.
I don't really remember. Thankfully, I was a bit young when it was the same bathroom, but we got it knocked into the house and made it all in one. But yeah, I mean, we had that. I think what happened is when my mother had my brother in early 1980, then we kind of realised, we'll get the wall knocked in, convert that into
we'll put a roof on it.
An extension. No, there was a roof on it all the time, to be fair.
Oh, well.
But you had to actually, it wasn't actually in my mother's time, they didn't, well, I'm not going to humiliate her on this podcast, but they didn't have a bathroom as such, I think, so they had to go out into the fields.
Yeah, that was the way it was.
And they had to go down to the well to draw water.
Dude, go back fucking 300 years, we were all pissing in bushes.
Oh,
and, and shitting in streams. And like,
Many
do you know what I mean?
times
We were all at it, lads.
anyway.
We were all at it. So, music.
Yeah.
I talked about music. Because you do the music here. I get you to do. I'm often. What I love here at the weekends as people are filing in, and the seats are getting full, and the atmosphere is building, and people they're on their dates or they're on their night outs, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some weird fucking music will come on, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" And you'd be like, "That's fucking. That's the new Blur album there."
Yeah, the new Blur album is very good. If anyone hasn't listened to it, recommend it. Ballad of Darren.
What is your relationship with music?
Well, I would say in a way, Con, that I would be a frustrated musician in the sense the frustration is that I can't play any instruments.
Right.
I grew up watching Top of the Pops on my mother's knee from about 1979 on. So that means like obviously I don't remember, there'd be something that got to number 37 for a week. I mightn't remember that from that far back.
Yeah.
Or indie hits or anything. Like, I don't remember the bigger hits from that period.
Have you an encyclopedic memory for all that kind of stuff? No. All right.
No,
okay.
but I would still remember sometimes I might hear some obscure piece of music from 40 years ago and be like, oh, that's what that was. I remember seeing that video somewhere, but I hadn't seen it for 40 years. It would be in the back of my mind, but I'd have forgotten.
Yeah.
But I didn't just stay in the past, obviously. Like, I mean, my musical taste.
Do you listen to new music?
I do sometimes, but how I find it these days is just purely when Glastonbury coverage is on the television, I'll watch that, right? And every now and again, there'll be an act come on doing a few songs, and I'll say, they actually sound decent, so I'll check them out.
Yeah.
And I might, like in recent years, I've kind of come to about 2 or 3 new artists that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's about all. The only way.
It's a good way of listening to new music because I don't listen to. I'm just like stuck. Do any of you listen to new music? Like, do you listen to new music? You're both professional music. Okay, all right, okay. I mean, I probably picked the one section of the fucking audience that is definitely going to listen. What about you guys? Do you listen to new music?
They're young.
You're professional musicians. That is, first of all, fucking tip of the hat. Fair play to you. Artists, proper artists. We're up here taking the piss. You actually have talent. What instruments do you play? Piano and cello.
Excellent.
Oh, fuck it. They're two cool instruments as well.
See, that doesn't mean they listen to modern music either. Still, that they might just favour the classical, which is good as well.
You take over.
A contemporary music ensemble, excellent.
Go on.
That just means there'll be people listen to this podcast and they'll check you out on YouTube or Bandcamp or anything.
I can tell you this now categorically. There's I haven't. There's a very modest listenership to this podcast. I have to try and talk myself in to sound very, very good as well. I mean, like there's millions of people tuning in.
Yeah.
You know, eventually, if you consider
Hello,
time,
Buenos Aires.
like they're gonna over millennia. You know, so I mean, you might be out in a couple of thousand years. Is what I'm trying to say to you, as a fantastic musician. But you listen to modern music. What kind of modern music?
I wouldn't be. But yeah, no, I think an effort to try and listen to.
Yeah. I think it is good. I need to make more of an effort for it because I'm stuck, like especially during the pandemic. I just was listening to the Doors and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Blur and you know, just this and like you know, and then different albums then as well, just of one band over and over and again, and like not interested in developing new musical tastes, which is kind of sad because music is amazing.
Sometimes how I'd hear some new stuff as well, obviously, is travelling down to Kerry with Dave and Dan and that. They'd be listening to stuff like Kendrick Lamar and that kind of stuff that I'd hear about through them.
Who's he now?
He's well, you can ask.
Who's this Kendrick fellow you're talking about?
Dave will tell you in more detail if you ask him, but he's kind of one of the biggest hip hop artists of the modern time.
I fucking love a bit of hip hop.
Yeah, but for me it's more the 90s stuff. Busta Rhymes and that kind of stuff.
I like is Biggie Smalls.
That's good enough.
Is he hip hop lads Biggie Smalls?
Yeah. Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, I liked his flow.
Yeah.
There we go. I'll move on from that now.
Sure. I put in a request for one of his last night on the way back from Killarney.
Yeah. No, I have to say no. I was watching Top Boy. Did you ever watch that season?
I've heard about it. Mike Morgan mentioned it on his podcast today.
It's very good. You like it, the guys seen like Top Boy?
Yeah.
It's fucking unreal, isn't it? But the music in it, I'm like, I've never listened to that music, and I'm like, where can I hear this music? Where can I listen to this music? It's pretty, like, do you know any of the artists that are... You know all the artists. Give me the most popular one till I write his name down or her name down there down. Santan Dave.
Okay.
You'll remember that, Harry, will I?
Santan Dave, yeah.
Who? Shazam.
Is very good, yes.
No. Sing it, come on. I'll put it in afterwards now. This is a live podcast, guys. We've got to keep this professional. Yes. We're nearly there. You're a great audience. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yay!
Yay!
Very good. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Harry, birds.
Birds,
You're a big fan of the birds.
Yes. No, and I'll reassure everybody in the audience here now, I'm not sexist, right? It's not that I'm calling women birds or anything, no. What it was is when I was very young, when I was about 3 or 4, for a little while I was obsessed with dinosaurs, right?
Right.
But to my credit, I realised very young that I was never going to see one. I did have a brief dream, all right, of finding a full intact dinosaur fossil. Not just a tiny little bit, the whole skeleton.
The whole skeleton.
Yeah. Like, there was somebody that, I remember there was some story, I think, was it an ichthyosaur or something, which wasn't technically a dinosaur. They're those kind of, they're kind of like dolphin type things, but they were reptiles. And there was a little girl, I think it was an ichthyosaur she found somewhere in England. She found the whole skeleton. And I lived in hope of finding something like that.
You should go out digging up holes looking for skeletons, like?
No, what happened then is I got distracted by their modern day descendants and they captured
chicken.
my heart. Well, chicken, I like chicken to eat, but no,
What's their modern day descendants?
All birds.
Oh, birds.
Birds are descended from dinosaurs.
Birds, yeah. So
believe it or not.
That's your profession, isn't it?
It has at different times, and at the moment that has been my profession. At times I have made a living from it. It's been my work, my rest, my play, my wife, my mistress, and everything all rolled up in one.
Really?
Yeah, it's been my life for a long time.
Birds.
Yeah.
What do you find so fascinating about birds?
It's hard to describe, really. I mean, it's just, if you get into something young, and it just captures your imagination when you're young. Now, I'm not as obsessively into it as I would have been. Like, it waxes and wanes. I don't go out actually looking for them as much as I would have done for years. But like the interest will never fully leave you, and there's still a fascination.
So when you went out looking for birds, how old were you? When did you first go out?
Well, I would have had a general interest in wildlife as an actual primary school kid, but I obviously was only going out into my garden looking at insects or what birds came to the garden or if I was in a walk with the family.
Yeah.
But when I was about maybe 14, 15 or so, I started going out purposefully to look for birds.
Fucking cool. Like how? Like you're living up in the north side of Cork City. You're living in a council estate.
Yes.
Like where the fuck do you go at 15 to look for birds?
Well, when I was a bit older than 15, I started getting it was the number 2 bus then, it's the 202 now. It goes up all the way to Knocknaheeny up my way.
Right.
And it comes down past Churchfield, Granabroher, and it goes down the other end, it goes down nearly by Blackrock Castle and that. So I used to go down the Douglas Estuary.
Oh, right.
I used to get the bus down there when I was about 17, 18. Do a lot of bird watching around the
Plenty of
Douglas
birds
Estuary.
down there.
Loads.
Yeah.
Hundreds and thousands of certain species, actually.
Yeah.
Highly important site for wading birds in the winter.
And when you're down there, and you like, where do you derive? Like, if I write a joke and I get a laugh from it, there's my instant.
And I understand that well since I got into comedy myself.
Where's the gratification?
There's lots of different things. I mean, you can find different things. Like, say if you go out and you're just out at a promising time of year, or maybe even better if it's not a promising time of year, so your expectations are low, and you go out and you come across something, and either you've seen the species abroad, or you might have seen it here, or you might know it from the literature. Because, like, yes, I would have been reading up all the books about things I hadn't seen yet and all this. And, like, for example, almost 20 years ago later this year, I was in Knockadoon Head, down past Balmacoda, and I found a bird from Central Asia that winters in the Indian subcontinent. A little small thing. And it had never been seen in Ireland before that. And I found one of those, and I can remember it was so weird because I have trouble sometimes, you know, like I overanalyze things, I think too much about life, and for some weird reason, time ceased to matter. Life outside of that moment ceased to matter. It was just, okay, I really think this might be a Hume's warbler now, but I have to rule out more common but still scarce possibilities, and it was like, this is all I have to do now. It's just me and this bird. And if I see and hear enough, and then I put the news out, so like my reputation would have been on the line maybe. If I just said I wouldn't want to be the boy who cried wolf, like I was 28 by then, I'd already been on the scene a bit. People would have thought, you know, he knows his stuff a bit. So I was there, and I remember there's no phone signal down where I had it. So I'd send the guy I was with, Lord rest him, he's dead since he was in his 80s when he died. He was old enough even then, I'd say. And
I take 80 now. If someone gave me the option,
well,
I take it. I'll take it.
I know.
Go on.
It's
Sorry.
ages away,
This is beautiful, by the way. This is beautiful.
And I remember asking him to go up, to drive up to the crossroads so that he could tell. I just said, just tell a few of the local lads who can make it before dark, because even if it isn't one based on what I've seen, I would be prepared to say it has enough going on that I think it's one.
Yeah.
And while he was gone then, or shortly after he came back.
So you're just watching this bird all the time, and is it just hanging around?
Prove, and I knew, it hung around for weeks after that. But it had been an exceptional autumn for the species in Western Europe. So I'd actually been mentioning to people, they're subtle. They used to be deemed to be a subspecies of another Siberian bird that turns up every year. But then they decided, due to differences in the appearance and in the sounds and that it wasn't long before that they decided that there was enough for science to treat them as a different species.
Yeah.
And
you got the horn then when you saw that. You were like,
not literally, no, but I was really. It was amazing though.
I heard otherwise, but whatever. Like,
but at that time, which was a sign of how uneventful the rest of my life had been up to then, at that time, that was one of the.
Thank you so much. The musicians are leaving, and thank you so much, guys. They were fun. Yes, look, come on, guys. Give them a round of applause. You stayed way too long. Thank you so much. Appreciate it so much. In fairness, like, you know, they had no interest in coming here, and like, they had
no interest in the finding of a first for Ireland.
They hadn't. Like, the real crew are here now, guys.
The whole story is written up anyway. There's a write up of that on the IRBC website, Irish Rare Birds Committee.
Very good. We'll move away from the birds now, and I'm going to ask you. So I said at the start of the show, Harry was sending me a few messages during lockdown, and you started doing comedy anyway, and I was fascinated by the whole process, because you had said you said to me that you felt that you had missed the boat and that, you know, you'd never have the bravery to do it again. But anyway, you found the bravery. You started doing open mics, and then you kind of started doing the Thursdays here, and then you got a residency here, and you're at it 13 months now, is it? Am I right saying that?
Yeah.
And I have to say, you're absolutely killing it now. You're doing really well. You've got a very good tight 10, as we say in the trade, which is 10 minutes, a 10-minute set. And I would feel comfortable with you in front of most audiences at this stage of the races.
Thank you.
With that 10, and it's really cool. I want to talk to you about, we run a lot of gigs here, right? An awful lot of gigs here. And we've got 4 residents, Ciara, Dave, Dan, and Harry. And you've seen all the different types of audiences.
Yeah.
I also have a club in Kerry, the Kingdom Comedy Club in Killarney. If you're ever around, please go. Well, we just did our last gig of the year there yesterday. But sure, this is next year, and so you were doing a gig here a couple of weeks ago, and I fucking wasn't here at all.
You weren't. No, you were.
I missed
you were
the gig.
gigging somewhere else.
I was gigging somewhere else, and
Dan was in Germany.
My wife was here. My wife was looking after the place in the night, and you got heckled because you did a bit about autism.
I did.
And the joke is, if you what is it? What's the joke?
What I had, I had a joke that I used to have for a good while before this, where I just play on. Again, I'm not going to this for the purposes of this joke. It doesn't matter whether this part is true or false. It's just a joke where I say I'm not aging too badly, and I attribute that to regular consumption of virgin blood. Sometimes, if there's young lads like yourself, I look and I say, "Don't worry, lads, I'm not going to bite you at all. I'll leave you off." Or I say the lads are getting shifty there, they're going to run. And then I'd say, no, once a week I deliberately give myself a paper cut and I suck the wound, right?
And you just said.
And then I go on, about saying, well, look, I'm living in Cork, what else am I going to do? Where else am I going to find a reliable source of legal age and consenting, like I'm not a creep? But then I reassure everyone, I've added this part, I say, no, I'm not a vampire at all, don't worry. If I was to bite any of you here, the worst thing that just might, happen is that I might turn you autistic. And then sometimes and
that's the response there, the laugh. That's because it's a joke, like, do you know what I mean? Like, because you obviously cannot get autism from being fucking infected, like, with a bite.
If anything, it plays on people's ignorance of these things.
Exactly.
Well,
But someone took umbrage to it anyway.
And I must say, I did feel bad because, like, it transpired later, like, he wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
But Dave spoke to him and Noel spoke to him and it transpired that his brother, wasn't it? I think his brother was autistic. And I presume by the way he reacted, it would have been profoundly autistic rather than, like, because it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, like, if his brother was just slightly geeky or slightly into obsession into his hobbies, he wouldn't have gotten that way with me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't to know that, and I didn't mean it from a place of hate, of course.
And it wasn't. And I have a son who's
of course.
who's
And Noel was
autistic
here.
as well.
And Noel was here, his mother.
And we were like, I'm not offended by it, but I do take the point about profoundly autistic, because that there's quite a lot.
There are a lot of challenges for that.
There's a lot of challenges with that.
It's difficult,
and it can be triggering, but at the same time, there's nothing nasty about it. My question, and I remember saying to you the next day, please don't drop that joke, man. That's a funny joke.
I rested it for a while.
You rested it for a while.
For about a month.
And I'm delighted you brought it back.
Yeah.
And because it's funny. It's a funny joke.
It is.
And but what I want to know, right, is because you're young in comedy years, you're a young man, right?
Yeah.
How did that affect you for the next week? Because yourself, you'll be in front of audiences. Sometimes you'll be killing it.
Yeah.
You'll be fucking doing it. Like, it doesn't matter what you say.
Oh, yeah.
People will laugh. They'll just be out for a good time. Other nights, it's fucking hard work.
Oh, yeah.
You have to work for it. You have to really put your heart and soul into it. And with you being so new, like, criticism, I remember when I was new, any criticism fucking killed me.
It wasn't even so much criticism. It was like
I take it.
No, but it was like anybody listening here, and I apologise to the man. Like, I'm nothing against him. But what I thought is, what you must all bear in mind now as well is we all know the whole thing about Chris Rock and Will Smith, right? The whole world knows about that.
Yeah.
Now, for all I knew, the way he was getting with me for saying that, because he was saying, you can't say that, and I thought he was going to get up and come up on stage and hit me. I really did.
You thought you were going to physically be Hitler?
I thought he was going to come up. He didn't.
Because I heard the next day there was like loads of people like texting me about it and going like, and then Noelle, obviously, my wife was there and she was like, it was like, and it's rarely that happens now, that there be physical violence at a show.
Thankfully, it didn't.
Thankfully, it didn't. No.
But what happened, you see, then as well is it was Aaron McCarthy's last night at the club before he emigrated. Yeah. Aaron was hosting that night. And honestly, I'd say I might have contemplated walking off. But I said I didn't want to spoil and take away the attention from Aaron's last night. It was a special night for him.
And that to me then, right, is like fucking, I love that because I'm like you got your chance here.
Yeah.
And you took it with two hands. You're in. You do it like you do everything professionally with a smile, and you're courteous. You're always trying to be funny. You're always working on your stuff, and you put the show first, even though like you should always put your safety first, just so you know.
Well, I fully understand that. Like,
You know?
obviously, if he had come on stage and hit me, I wouldn't have carried on.
Yeah.
But
Well, that would have been too
what
late.
happened then is he was there stewing a little bit, and I just kind of, after I stopped for a little while and explained to the guy where I was coming from, that I was saying, no, I will say as well, the one thing where you might say that autism joke is slightly in bad taste is that I'm not actually diagnosed as being on the spectrum. But sometimes, as I say, if I was to walk from here to the top of North Main Street and I got soaked to the skin, I wouldn't need to look up the Mid-Air app to find out if it's raining. So there's enough of signs that I think that if I'm not actually on the autistic spectrum, I have some other sort of thing like ADHD or some other thing technically. I'm not neurotypical, shall we say.
Yeah.
But who is?
Yeah, sure. Who's fucking normal, lads? We're all fucking weirdos.
But yeah, as I say, what happened then is I turned around and I just said to the people, come on now, I said, it's Aaron's last night here now, come on, we'll carry on with the show. And I just went into material that I had no intention of doing, but it was just my bit about, did you ever hear the Irish word Jesus? And about Jesus' cooler younger cousin, that bit.
Jesus.
I just pulled that out of the bag, and I got more laughs after that from the rest of the audience.
Can I say, Harry, since the incident, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed I don't know what it is, but I've noticed a dramatic improvement. Like I could see incremental improvement in your stand-up all the way around. But since then, I don't know, is there more courage or is there more...
Possibly, yeah.
Like,
it's kind of like...
And it could have gone two different ways, like, which I think is interesting, you know, and I really...
It's almost like what that was that night. Short of somebody actually coming up and hitting me, there was very little else that could have gone worse in that one person's reaction to me.
Yeah.
But then the fact that I continued on for Aaron and you know, this whole show must go on, like, and all this. But on top of that, then, you'd like the rest of the audience, for some reason, because I stayed up there rather than go down and
champion
whatever, they seemed to take me more into their hearts on the night. And they weren't pity laughing, but they did. And some came up to me after the gig as well and saying that was a good, no, don't mind him, all that kind of stuff. But as I say, I will add, because this is going out now on the podcast, I can understand that he may have been coming from a difficult place as well. Yeah. And this is not me trying to slight his reaction in that sense.
Like, the man was in pain, like, definitely, you know.
Yeah.
But I think
it doesn't give me the right to be threatening, but at the same time, I can see where it came from.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Okay. And we got to go then.
Yeah.
What's your hope now? What's your hope for mankind?
Oh, that we don't wipe ourselves out, for one thing, anyway, one way or another, between war and climate change and everything. Don't want to get gloomy on the podcast now.
I saw this thing on TikTok today, right? And I fucking really laughed at it. And I'm gonna ask you this question now, right?
Okay.
If, with all the crimes that are in the world, right? Okay. If you could get rid of any crime, just one thing that is wrong in this planet, but the only way that you could get rid of it was by committing that crime yourself. What crime would you commit? Fucking good question, isn't it?
There's a few bad
It's a good fucking question.
There's a few bad ones I'm not doing away with.
It's like,
of that,
when I heard it, first of all, I was like, oh, paedophile. Oh, no. But that's the first thing that came to my head, like, and then you're just like, no.
And premeditated murder? No. I don't know. Being a dickhead. I could just be a dickhead once.
But you've got some power now in here. Like, if you killed someone, that means murder is gone then forever.
Yeah, but still, I'd still feel bad about it forever.
Yeah. I suppose then there'd be a lot of pricks walking around that need to be murdered as well, is it?
No.
Do you know what the answer was that your man gave? I thought it was a great answer. He said...
is there a right answer, by the way?
Well, I don't think there's a... What answer, if you could... Any crime... Come on, between the two of you now. Between fucking Limerick and Clare now, lads. You have something, surely, or Kerry and Clare.
Two lads have ideas already. They've probably already
and Limerick is in the one. What do you think, lads? Any crime, the only thing you have to do is you have to do the crime first, and then it's gone forever.
Yeah, I'd say, do you know when you're in court, you just swear on the Bible, you just tell the truth. I'd say,
Did you see the TikTok? You did, you motherfucker. You saw the TikTok. Perjury. Yeah, that's a great answer though, isn't it? It's a great answer. So like you just have to go up, because like it's a handy old one. All you have to do is lie, and then no one can ever lie again.
Well, what I'd do is I'd spend the whole day being a dickhead. And irritating people, and then that will be gone after that day.
Nobody be a dickhead anymore.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it at that. Can I get a round of applause for my fantastic guest? I want to say thank you to the guests. I'm sorry, lads, there was no sex talk. I'm so sorry. And before you go, I'd just like to draw your attention to our QR code up there. That takes us to our website. If you enjoyed the night, you can give us a review on Google. Also, I'm doing a solo show in the Everyman Theatre in January. If you want to go to that, my tickets are for sale on the website as well, and that's going to be great. It's nearly sold out. So.
Actually, brilliant night. Yeah. You really should go along.
Guys, thanks a million, and Harry, it was a great. Ow! Good night, and God bless. Woo! Hey.